I'd like to leave you with a recommended read. Now, I just want to issue a warning here. It is most certainly not the lightest of reads. It's a book called The Structure of Scientific Revolutions by an author named Mr. Thomas Kuhn. Now, this book here is the 50th anniversary edition. I read this book first time around about 10 years ago when I was studying the social sciences, and I had this question asked onto me. Is psychology an empirical science? Well, in order for us to respond to this question, we must first understand what the empirical sciences are. Physics, biology, chemistry, when we're looking to understand factors of our humanness, our human experience, but without necessarily looking to understand human behaviour. All right, human behaviour is very, very subjective. Whereas when we're looking at, how we're structured as human beings, blood cells, bones, our anatomy, the universe, that's all very objective, isn't it? It just kind of is what it is. But our human experience isn't always just what it is. There's this cause and effect principle just seems to always come into play somehow and for some reason. People don't always do the things that they do for the reasons that we think that they do them. Therefore, psychology, can it be an empirical science? Can we study and observe some people and assign our theories and our interpretations of research onto other people over here who we haven't yet observed? Some people might refer to this as assumptions. Some people might refer to this as judgmentalism. Some people might refer to it as science. How would you refer to this? Thomas Kuhn came up with this very, very simple model to help us really understand how it is that we shift in our thinking, how we evolve. It was Thomas Kuhn that coined this term paradigm shifts. So you've probably heard of this term before. Have you ever heard someone talking about they had some sort of awakening, some sort of aha moment and had a complete paradigm shift? Well, this is where the term paradigm shifts came from. What Thomas Kuhn referred to is that we're all functioning out of a normal science, all right? Pre-science is our normal science, where we have our normal. Do you know what I mean? What's normal for us? We have a set of ideologies, a set of beliefs, we have a life philosophy, that which we have been socialized into. So we're all brought into the world, we all have our primary educational experience through our parental upbringing, be this a good one, be this a bad one. But here's the thing, we do not start developing our own minds and our own psyches until we start analysing that which we have learned, all right? So until we start learning for ourselves, we are operating in this place of normal science. What is normal for us? Now think about some conversations you might have had in the past. Having worked with people in a psychological context, in a counselling context, in a coaching or a mentoring context, for just over a decade now, I never fail to be amazed at how it is that some people define normal. I've had conversations with young men who were raped by their fathers, young ladies who were abused by their mothers and their fathers. I've had other conversations with sons and daughters who were rejected completely by their parents, given up by their parents, who were loved too much by their parents. And regardless of what their experience was, it was normal for them. Granted, some people carry hurts and all sorts of stories, but the one commonality that we all share is that our story is our normality. So it's an interesting idea, right? I'm not saying that our normality is a good or a healthy or a wholesome one, but it is normal for us because we don't know anything else other than our own history. All right, so we're all operating out of a normal science. Now, we're never going to even consider drifting away from this unless we are presented with a new idea or some information or a concept that kind of conflicts with that which we perceive to be normal. So when this happens, our normal science, our model of reality, then begins to drift. Now, when this happens, when we start drifting away from what we perceive to be normal or okay or right, we start looking for new ideas. We start looking for concepts or for proof or for evidence. We'll sometimes carry out empirical research just to identify any areas in which our current normality may not actually be so normal. We look to sometimes disprove ourselves. And again, this is actually the scientific approach, right? How theories evolve over time. Do you remember the boxes that I pulled out earlier on? This is kind of what scientists do. So one scientist will come up with a theory, he'll present it to the world and say, this is my theory, this is where human beings came from. Man has evolved from monkeys. And this might be embraced by similar thinkers for a while, but then what similar thinkers will do is, because we are this way minded, knowledge builds upon knowledge, ideas build upon ideas, we look to attack and bring the model under crisis. We attack the concept to disprove it, to see if there's any cracks or flaws in the system, and therefore expand it. So as soon as we establish or create some cracks in one concept, we need a bigger box to place and house this concept in. But this is how we grow. Ideas build and base themselves upon ideas. So our models start to drift until the point of stage they reach a crisis, right? Think about growing pains, all right? I could relate to this as when we're growing, if we're going from our younger years to our teenage years. How many teenagers do you know who just go through crisis? They wear all sorts of crazy clothes, and they make all sorts of attempts at proving themselves. They want to be individuals, they want to be unique, they don't quite yet know who they are, they're still going through the latter stages of development. People go through a state of crisis as they're going through a state of change. If you think about the seasons of life we go through, I'm not just talking about seasons in terms of weather. Autumn, winter, spring, summer. There's kind of 5 seasons in life, isn't there? Think about when we are going from spring to summer. Now, here in Scotland, we just don't know how to dress, all right? Because we can look out the window and it looks sunny. It looks like a nice day. And we'll leave the house and the weather's all right. But once we've been out for about half an hour, the skies can turn grey very, very quickly. Then the next thing you know is raining. So in between seasons, we go through this phase of transition, all right? And this is kind of what model crisis is, where we're not residing in spring anymore, but we're not quite in summer, so we don't quite know how to dress. And the same goes for human behaviour. When we're growing out of what is normal for us and into something else, we don't quite know how to be in this next stage of our development in life. So we come into a state of crisis. But then the day comes where summer arrives and, it's okay, I can actually leave the house today. I don't have to wear my jacket. I can just wear a t-shirt, or I can wear a nice dress. Not that I'm saying I would wear a nice dress, but females or members of the opposite sex would wear a dress, unless of course you're that way inclined and you feel that your normal is to wear a dress if you're a man. Perhaps I'm digging another little rabbit hole for myself here. I shall go no further. So our model evolves and becomes something better. We make peace with our new outlook on life, our new way of thinking. And this then becomes our new normal. But paradigm changes occur when we are prepared to cast off the old and embrace the new. And if you think about it, this is the process of human growth and development. If we are wanting to experience this state of flourishing in life, if we are aspiring to become people of virtue, then we have no option apart from to grow and develop, which means we must constantly be going through this Kuhn cycle, looking to identify normal and never be willing to become comfortable in it. All right? There's this concept in life about making peace or becoming comfortable in uncomfortableness. All right? Most people like security in life. Most people like stability. But the truth of the matter is that it doesn't matter what aspect of life we acknowledge or explore. Growth never occurs until we are willing to leave the old way of doing things and the old way of being behind. This is how we grow and develop as human beings, as we grow up and out of the old way of thinking and into something greater, into something more mature, through going through this process of paradigm shift. All right, paradigm shift. I reckon right now you are here. You're ready to grow into something else. I guess you get to determine what this something else is. So listen, if I was to make one suggestion right now, invest into this book, all right? the structure of scientific revolutions. Because if you understand how the sciences have evolved over the decades and centuries, you will also, hopefully, now with this understanding, better appreciate how it is that you have come to be where you're at this stage of your development in life.